Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my go-to tips, like my top 5, 6 tips for fish care, especially in the summertime. And this isn't, like region specific. Obviously, we're coming up on high school tournament season, which I'm very excited about, going into my 6th year being a high school captain, and very excited for that. And fish care is one of those things that can really hurt you throughout the day and hurt you in overall standings if you don't keep these fish alive. A lot of the time, there's generally like a ½ pound or a 1 pound dead fish penalty. But even if it's not, if it's like maybe your fish doesn't count, it can be absolutely detrimental to your whole fishing day. So there's lots of ways to ensure fish healthiness and just overall well-being throughout the day. And there's some things that you can do, maybe not even chemically related, that can help you out throughout the day. So let's go ahead and hop into it here. My first tip, number one, in the morning. It's one of those things that I don't like to do personally because I think it puts a jinx on me throughout the day, but fill your live wells up and cool them down in the summertime. This is one of the things that can really set the tone for your live well throughout the day. If you fill it up at the coolest part of the day, which is typically right at blast off or right when you get into the water, fill those live wells up with that cooler water. So fill them up. It doesn't even have to be like a full live well. It can be literally like maybe a quarter or maybe like a third of your live well. Fill it up a good portion to help cool down your boat, and it's going to help regulate the temperature throughout the day. A lot of the time, if you have a bone dry live well, that heat soaks in from just fishing throughout the day from the sun, and it can really heat up the inside of that live well. And right when you pump hotter water in later in the day as well, you are really maximizing the amount of heat inside that live well. So tip number one, add water into your live well as soon as you possibly can to, number one, cool it down, and number two, just get it set and ready for fish. Another thing going along with water in the live well is if you have bags of ice or frozen water bottles or anything that can cool the water down artificially using ice or anything like that, put it in there as well to cool it down even more. So, first thing in the morning, my typical routine is fill up the live well at least about a third. And if I have any ice that I want to put in the live well, or water bottles or Gatorade bottles, whatever it is, to cool it down, I'm gonna stick it all in there, at least half of it, to start off the morning. Now, one thing that I see from time to time and hear about from time to time is bags of ice. And a lot of the times with anglers, putting in just bags of ice, leaving it and forgetting it, that ice is gonna melt. That bag's still in there. Sometimes those bags can, cover up the fish and they can run out of oxygen. So one thing that I like to do on the lid of my live well, I like to stick a little top portion of that bag and really suspend that bag so it's not floating around, flowing around. And most live wells nowadays are pretty self-secure where you can latch them down, or even my friction fit live well that doesn't even have a latch, it can hold that bag of ice right up vertical and it's not gonna be swirling around in there. So, number one, keep everything cool in the morning, and that will maximize, just the fish potential to stay alive throughout the day. So another thing going on with bags of ice and iced products is that a lot of these have a lot of chemicals such as chlorine, iodine, anything that they use to really sterilize the water in that way. One of the great ways that I have found, at least, to minimize the amount of contaminants in the water to keep that water nice and fresh is adding something like G-Juice. Now this guy right here, G-Juice, you've probably seen it at weigh-ins from the Elite Series to almost any other tournament trail. Everyone uses G-Juice. This is probably by far one of the most popular ways to keep fish alive and healthy, and they come in a bunch of different sizes. This one here in particular is a 16 ounce. I think they make an 8 ounce, and they make a big jug, which is a 64 ounce. Now, one thing that I see a lot of the time in smallmouth tournaments is deep blue water. Now, the reason they put so much G-Juice in their live wells up for smallmouth is that it really helps dechlorinate the water, number one, and number two, whatever is in G-juice helps oxygenize that water. And a lot of the time, these smallmouth need a lot of extra oxygen to survive. Now, if you actually read this package, it says half an ounce treats 30 gallons of water. I don't know exactly how big my live well is, but it is nowhere near 30 gallons. And half an ounce is only half of this little thing right here. This is 1 ounce and half an ounce. I'm telling you, when you're using G-juice, especially in the state of Texas, anywhere in the South, you don't need a ton of it to be super effective. I would say for a 30-gallon live well, I might use a total of 1 ounce. So you can stretch this out quite a long time. One of these, if I'm using it properly and I'm, doing maybe 6-7 tournaments a year, captaining all the 5 qualifiers, regional and state, with a few mixed in between there, this could probably last me, this 16 ounces could probably last me at least like 2 years probably, depending on how you use it. So G-juice, overall strength, just keeping that water oxygenized. It doesn't cool the water. That's a total myth. It doesn't do anything with cooling, but it does help oxygenate the water enough to keep those fish healthy in your live well. Another thing that I've recently found, or not recently found, but recently brought back into the store is Please Release Me. Now this stuff and Catch and Release from Sure Life, these both do different things. Now, we have more information exactly on the website, but one of these is going to help remove the chemical, just like the G-juice, but it is in a granular form. This one here will tell you exactly what you need in terms of dosages and all that fun stuff. You can put it straight into your live well dry, or I'll talk about another method that I like to use as well later throughout the day. But one of them is going to keep your bass alive, oxygenate, dechlorinate, chemicalize your water. The other one here, Catch and Release, is, I believe this is going to be the one that helps improve slime coat rejuvenation as well as calming your fish down. A lot of the time as you run down the lake, or if you make sudden stops here and there throughout your tournament day, these fish are getting jostled around. They are getting beat up. And one of the best ways to protect the fish is minimizing the effect that you have on them throughout the day, whether it's going into your live well, touching them, putting them on a measuring board, throughout the day just to make sure it's the correct length. The Catch and Release will help increase that slime coat as well as calm the fish down, because if you're messing with them all the time, you're running and gunning, a lot of the time these fish can get super stressed out. And if you've seen in a lot of summer tournaments, a lot of these fish come in looking super beat up, red fins, and that's because they've been sitting in hot water and have been jostled around throughout the entire day. So you can use these two in tandem. One's, the Please Release Me is going to help clean out that water. Catch and Release is going to help improve the life of the fish. Now, with these two here, since they are in granular form, one of the really neat tricks that I like to do throughout the day is get a water bottle. It doesn't, not this small typically. I didn't have any other water bottles. Typically, I'll get like a big Ozarka water bottle or like a Dasani water bottle. It doesn't really matter. You can even freeze a really big jug. But what I like to do is I like to do this before the tournament. I'll take out a good portion of water just so it doesn't expand and blow up in my freezer. But I'm gonna open this water bottle up. I'm gonna pour whichever one I want, or maybe a mixture of both. Catch and Release, Please Release Me, maybe even G-juice, and create kind of like a super potion for these fish, like a little chug jug, essentially. And I'm gonna mix it all up, shake it up so it's all dissolved, and I'm gonna stick this in the freezer with that Please Release Me or G-juice in it. And essentially what you're doing is creating a slow drip effect that you can put into your live well at any time by either poking holes in it or just removing the cap. And this is what I'll also do throughout the morning to help cool down my live well without opening the bottle, because it is frozen and it can cool down that water. What I like to do is just stick these in there, let them cool the water down without opening them up. And once you catch a couple fish and they're hot, they're going crazy in the live well, I'll open the water bottle up or poke a few small holes in there and let it kind of circulate throughout the day without just blasting them with with the solutions here. So that is one of my go-to tips for live well treatment. Now, another really big thing I want to note on is gut hooked fish or gill hooked fish. A lot of the time you can do more damage to the fish by ripping that hook out of their gullet, ripping it out of their gills. If you have bolt cutters or lineman pliers that can cut your hook off, I highly suggest just cutting your line and cutting that hook as close as you can to where that fish is hooked. What happens is when you remove that hook by forcefully ripping it out with the barb on there, a lot of the time you open up just holes in that fish, and that fish can bleed out very, very quickly depending on where it's hooked. For maximum survivability rates, I have seen throughout personal experience, when I get a gut hooked fish, leaving that hook in there either full or cutting it out as much as I possibly can, the life expectancy for that fish is a whole lot better just leaving it in there. And this is one thing that has cost, I know a couple anglers that I know personally, a lot of money, a lot of elite anglers even, when they have dead fish with gut hooked fish. And a lot of the time you actually can't cull dead fish. So if you catch a 1 pounder or a line burner that dies in your live well, you have to keep it in there and you can't cull it out. So you can always make that game time decision of, oh my gosh, this fish, it's gut hooked. You know, we don't have 5 keepers yet, but I'm gonna let it go. So that's an on the water decision. So when it comes to gut hooked fish, I highly recommend you go ahead, leave that hook in there, cut it as short as you can get it, and just go on with your fishing day. And don't mess with that fish. I mean, check it periodically if you are concerned about that culling thing, the culling rule. But typically, I have found that you're gonna be pretty good leaving that hook in there. One thing that I do wanna shout out are the Godzilla Goby baits that just went up on the website. We've got 5 and 6 inch. These are really, really cool. If you're familiar with the Dark Sleeper, these guys are way, way bigger, way more durable, and made out of silicone with a line through. So you have a little treble hook in the back here, and this bait separates when that fish eats it. So really cool. If you like fishing ponds, this is definitely a go-to. Bunch of different colors. You can check them out online, like protackle.com. Another thing here, we have Blue Storm Stratus 35 life jackets. Now, here in the state of Texas, these, you have to be, I think, over 16 or older to wear an auto inflatable life jacket. But these guys right here are currently 25% off. The Stratus 35 normally retails for $159.99, so 160 bucks. But this is a automatic and manual life jacket, so you're able to go throughout the day. If you do get flung out of the boat, it will auto inflate, or you can pull that cord and it will inflate itself as well. Really, really cool stuff from Blue Storm. It does come with 1 CO2 canister in there, and you can auto prime it and everything like that. So really, really neat stuff from Blue Storm. And I hope these fish care tips helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. And we're coming up on 8,000 subscribers, I think, something like that. I think we just hit 7,400. So thank you very much to everyone that's come along on this journey here. G-Juice, please release me. Bunch of different sizes, catch and release, bunch of different sizes. And I'll tell you what, you know, these are 10-ounce bottles here, and they will last you quite a long time. You know, these typically last me, one of these will last me like 3 years. I know the first set of kids that I had when I first started captaining, you know, we kept these in the boat, and definitely really helped out the success of the fish throughout their time in the live well. I don't think we ever had a dead fish penalty, so big props to Sure Life, TH Marine, G-Juice, and hope these tips helped again. So please consider subscribing, leaving a like on the video, following the social media, Instagram and Facebook at Lake Pro Tackle, and thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.